Petrarca and Cox exchanged barbs as the D's highlighted their premiership credentials, while another dour night against the Bombers turned Carlton's woes from on-field to existential. The Hawks caused a boil-over as the Lions' MCG hoodoo once again came to the fore, and Tex's career-high 10 in Game 250 becomes an instant part of footy folklore. To rip through the big talking points of Round 13, this is Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. St Kilda champion Lee Montagna joins us.
Hello, Rabsy. Wasn't sure how you were going to rhyme credential, but you did not a bad job. Existential.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done.
I hope it made sense. Rudy gave us a tick of approval. Collingwood's down low medalist Dale Thomas.
There's 7 words there I have no idea what to do, and we'll Google post-show.
Boil over? MCG? I'm trying to pick which one's
Tex.
And, of course, muscle car enthusiast who did purchase his own petrol this week, Damien Barrett.
As I always do, Rabsy, Joey and Days. I'm a bit worried about Days as we start our little conversation today. He's been working overtime.
He looks a bit jaded.
He looks
He doesn't need a holiday.
I can't work out whether it's just the hours he's been doing to cover for Jim or the fact that most of those hours have been spent with Bill. And it might be a combination of both. Have you in this state?
Probably more so the latter. Yep. Obviously, filling in for Jim while he's been away doing his amazing work on Channel 7, the coverage of the cricket.
As we speak? Is he back?
So as we speak, just gone midday on Wednesday, I'm still leaving the afternoon open. So he's back in the country, but whether or not he's fit in terms of jet lag to do the show, and you have to be at your very best when you're working with Bill because you're not sure where it's going to go, and if you're not holding the ship up, it can sink pretty quickly. So I fingers crossed I've got the afternoon off because you're right, I do need a bit of a rest. I've been a busy boy, but as we know, I've got a holiday coming up that for once in my life I feel like I've actually earned.
This is the London trip for the horse races.
When is that, by the way? How many weeks do you
Next
off?
Wednesday.
Oh, next Wednesday?
So this will be the last time you see me until I'm back.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah.
Look out.
It'll be
very good.
You to wind the clock back?
Yeah. Yeah, like past daylight savings as well.
Hey, we have to talk about the Oracle. The Oracle last week, I mean, we know we give Daisy, and occasionally he gets one right. He's gone for a few safe ones. But last week, I'm pretty sure, when Adelaide West Coast was coming up, you said Tex Walker would kick 10.
Well, he has mentioned it on 4 different Triple M Footy podcasts over the last 3 days.
He does do a lot of podcasts.
Career high, 10 goals. And his previous best before that was 7. Yeah. And I went out with 10, and he not only kicked 10, it was exactly 10. It wasn't 11, it wasn't 9, it was 10.
I have to give you credit for that, Daisy. That is phenomenal.
Let's actually have a listen to what Dale Thomas actually said. Adelaide versus West Coast at the Adelaide Oval. Texas 250th. Can he fairy tale kick 8?
He can kick more than 8. If Charlie kicked 9, the Crows are humming. Their forward line potent. I think they'll absolutely open them up. Look for 8+.
So it wasn't exactly 10.
On one of these forums, I said 10. I said an even 10. It might have been when I was speaking to Tex himself on the rush hour. I said 10 exactly. So
no, we'll give you that.
Yeah,
we'll that's very good.
Well, it also was 8+. And they did it in the fashion I said, opened them up. That was brilliant. Full forwards kicking big bags of goal.
And good goals too,
and we know we spoke about how many times Tony Lockett kicked.
Just a lazy 22 times,
and Joey. It was good 22. For the 22. 20,
and Chief 16 times. Yeah. 10 goals or more.
Yeah, and it was great for the competition on Monday that Melbourne had a win just to keep it a bit more interesting and a bit more even and sort of keep Collingwood from not running away with it just yet. You reckon it's clear-cut top 4? You think now the big 4, Brisbane, Port, Melbourne, Collingwood?
Yeah, I think if Port can roll the Cats this Thursday night, and we'll get to that tomorrow night, I think we start to take them a bit more seriously. I think there's a clear top 2, and then the next 2 chasing, Brisbane and Port, are there. But I think if Port roll Geelong, I'll be considering them close to the top 2.
Which need an 11th game added to the 10 already,
Yeah, I do. I still don't trust them.
I convert about, I reckon, 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. We were also tipping the Blues, so we're not the greatest.
And I might be doing that again too this week.
We're never, ever tipping the Blues.
I am not ever again. I said it, and I'm going to stick to it. So that'll be the pressure off their backs that they need to go out and get a win.
Yep.
Fair dinkum or Fugazi, of course, still to come. Plus your game predictions. But up next, it is Damo's news. A couple of new contracts at the Pies, plus the latest on James Sicily and Ryan Mansell's suspensions. This is Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. That's it, Joey, Daisy and Damo's round 14 predictions still to come. Plus fair dinkum or Fugazi. But Damo, it is time for some news. And let's start with a couple of new contracts that the Pies announced this morning.
They just do everything right, don't they, these days, the Collingwood Football Club, internally, externally, by way of promotion. And, yeah, what they've done in the past 24 hours is officially announced that Craig McRae will be coach regardless of what happens until the end of 2026, and that your mate, Days, Scotty Pendlebury, will go around for a 19th season, that being next year, 2024.
Brilliant on both fronts. I love the fact, and no doubt that Craig was going to get an extension for what he's doing there, but Pendles, I love the fact that they've come out now in the middle of the season. His form warrants an extra year. There's no signs of him slowing down whatsoever. So it stops the little conversations that probably would have started in the back half of the year as, is he going to go on? Where is he at? Stops all of that. Brilliant. All the very best. Hopefully he's got another couple in him and can break the all-time record.
And Joey, last time he was out of contract, I loved what he did. He wanted 2 years and he wasn't going to settle for anything less than 2 years. He got the 2 years. He's the halfway now through the second year of that 2 year deal, and he's now prepared to do the 1 year. I love what he's doing.
I was going to say those conversations did start a couple of years ago, didn't they? When he was, and he even
threw
out the whole. There might be another club that can lead into an assistant coaching role, and just put a little bit of pressure.
I think there was.
On the Pies.
Sorry, I think that there was. A lot of clubs were just keen to see what he was going to do.
Yeah.
A bit like what Sam Mitchell did at West Coast in 2017, if you recall. I mean, he played in that final that they won against Port Adelaide when Luke Shuey kicked that goal. Missed, obviously, the grand final year, the following year, Sam, as he was still contracted to play but didn't. But he was an assistant coach there. There was certainly some keen intent about what Pendlebury wanted to do.
Well, they're both no-brainers, let's be honest. Pendles are still flying, good enough to be going around again, and Craig McRae's the best coach in the league. So both of those are just, I thought, were formalities, and the Pies just keep rolling.
The Pies have always been a destination club with their membership, but now more than ever, because of the way they're going about it, I think players will be wanting to get to them a bit like Geelong. You know how good the work-life balance is. You know how good they're treated off the field. I think people now, when they're in the market, will be going, geez, the Pies look like they're having a fair bit of fun, and for extra reasons, they'll be getting some better players.
The 400 game component, there's been 6 in the history of the game. Do you see him joining that list? 370 games is what he's got right now.
Well, I think so. If he can obviously put another really good body of work together at the back half of this season and then ongoing, as long as there's no injury as a part of this. And, I think the club is in a position now, whether it be as a sub towards the end of it, if his form is wavering, but there's no sign of that happening. There's no real sign that he's slowing down. And usually by this stage in your career, you see 1 or 2 signs that the game might be going past you. It's not with him. His ability to still see the game and bring others into it and not have to be the best player on the ground makes a pretty nice
Sorry,
position.
I said 6. He would become the 6th if he was able to. Tribunal, guys, we don't talk about it too deeply on this particular platform, and there's a bit of unknown as we speak today on this midweek rub, in that we don't yet know whether Hawthorn will appeal James Sicily's outcome of last night, that being a 3-match sanction for him, which was basically the endorsement of the AFL Tribunal of what the Match Review Office had to say about his incident with Hugh McCluggage.
Well, I think we're going to disagree here, Daisy. I think the Tribunal got most of these verdicts pretty well right. The 3 weeks is probably the one that doesn't sit comfortably with Sicily. I don't think he deserves 3, but I can understand why that one was not overturned and the Butler was, because he had a chance to release McCluggage really late. Once he was rolled over the top of him, he could have released him at the last second like Dan Butler did. He didn't. He chose to keep the arm pinned and the head into the ground. So I get why the difference between Butler and Sicily. And the Ryan Mansell one is a really fine line call. I understand the difference between a bump and bracing. But again, we are now seeing if you are the split-second late player, you need to somehow try and obviously slow down before you get to that point. Otherwise, you will be suspended. So I was sort of one that thought, you know what? That's probably how I thought all 3 would play out.
I think it's great the Butler one was overturned and thrown out, because that shouldn't have even been cited. That's a bit of a non-incident really that has to be talked about for too long. The other 2, the Mansell one, his intention would have been to take the ball and to turn out of that. He gets there this far too late, and then he gets a week for that. Same with the Sicily one. Was it 2 motions? Was it 1 motion that carried him down? He's on his backside. I thought we were stamping out the double motion tackle of then slinging people to the ground. That was my understanding at the start, and now it's sort of evolved to, well, any tackle that has force to the head, you're in trouble for. I just think as it stands right now, the game is asking far too much of players. What they are expected to do in the heat of battle is far too much. You don't have the time to think that we get to talk about with slow motion and the way the AFL presents it at tribunals. You don't get that live, and it's as a result, blokes are getting 3-4 weeks.
We understand that, but they are also trying to change behaviour. And to change behaviour, there's going to be some collateral along the way. So I get that we are trying to find a balance and a line that is really difficult. And I'm glad in recent weeks we've had now 3 players be able to go to the tribunal and get off and say, well, hang on, there is a line between any head contact on the ground is suspendable, as opposed to, no, there's got to be a dangerous element or a careless element to the tackle. So I think we are slowly getting there. I agree it is split-second decisions and there are going to be a lot of unlucky players, but we have to change behaviour and we've got to start somewhere.
Yeah. Marlion Pickett, we learned over the weekend, had been charged in WA for serious offences, aggravated burglary, stealing and criminal damage. We saw it play out from a footy perspective yesterday when the Richmond Footy Club has stood him down effectively for this week's game against St Kilda. There is the bye the following week, and then there is intent for Marlion Pickett to play the week after that. I'll just throw my views out there personally, and then I'll let you guys have yours. I have no issue with this being done and handled this way, that the courts of the land are the body to deal with it, and that the football side of it, provided the club is happy for him to play, provided he wants to play, provided he's in a headspace to play, that's okay, while these charges and these cases are being heard by the federal courts of the land.
I find this interesting. There hasn't been a lot of talk about how that he should be stood down, and they've said that they've almost said he's resting this week or not going to play for a number of reasons. We've seen players stood down for a lot less, haven't we? We've players that have had a line of cocaine at a party and missed more games of football. Not that I have an issue with it, I don't mind, but it just sits funny that we're not really talking about this in a big way when this is some serious charges, like serious allegations. We've seen a lot of players sit out football or being suspended from their clubs for a lot less. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
So why is that not being sort of spoken about more? I get your angle, and we understand.
Yeah,
you got to
think it's
justice,
the presumption of
innocence.
The
presumption there's a lot of players that have been stood down for allegations before they've actually been charged with anything.
I feel now that often the courts, and to me that's still the best place to deal with it, obviously, but the courts, the process is not beating to the drum of an AFL season, and this may not properly get a hearing for 2 years down the track. Yeah. And what happens then if the charges are amended over the course of the journey? I don't want to even compare it to other cases, Joey, because we're in isolation of this. They are very serious charges, as serious as a footballer has been under in some respects. But I just feel that every other workplace in the land would have a situation where you don't necessarily know the person working either side of you at your workplace if they are up against those charges as well, and they are allowed to work as well. Yeah. So I haven't always had that view. I reckon in the past I've had a view where they probably need to stand down because of the nature and the seriousness of them.
And I'm okay with it, but Days, you know what I mean? Like there are players that if they get in a fracas at a pub, they'll probably more likely miss more lines of
2 weeks.
Miss more weeks of football than someone who's on a serious criminal charge. I just think, and I get, there's going to be
a fair point.
Like I don't know, it's just an interesting one for me. I mean, I'm okay that that's the decision Richmond have taken. I just thought about it and thought, gee, there's players that have been stood down for a lot less allegations than where this is at.
I'm not really sure where I stand on it either, to be honest, because there is so much of if he is innocent and he misses a big chunk of the season and then doesn't get another contract, that costs him. Is that fair? Is it not? The fact of the scrutiny that's going to be in and around the Richmond Footy Club now. So if he does continue to play, if he plays in 2 weeks' time, and if he's not stood down for a large portion, there will be cameras there every single day. And we've seen this with other cases. If it's a coach under pressure, the cameras are there until they're not. And you can see that has a detrimental effect on the football club. So from that point of view, I'll be interested to see how they play that out. Just
to put a line on it, from my perspective, there's no guarantee he plays in that time frame that they've outlined. It's a holding position statement they've made yesterday to buy the time, mentally not right to play this week, buy after that. There's 2 weeks already. You then have the discussion properly with full knowledge as best you can from outside the system of what the charges are, and then you make a decision then.
The other footballing clubs and fans, I'm sure, would be in uproar if he does play after 2 weeks.
Do you think it'd be that reaction?
I certainly do. So, and for all the reasons given, the Collingwood fans would be going down the Jordan De Goey path. Other clubs have had players who've been suspended and haven't been able to play for that reason. Marlon's form this year has been really good, especially, as far back as the GWS game where he had a couple of really big moments late in that one. Yeah. If you're to come up against, him as your football club, I'm not sure how well that'll go.
And for the record, I'm okay with him to continue playing. I've just thought there are a lot of other cases where players have been stood down for a lot less. Yeah. And that's where it's just interesting for me.
But, it's a fascinating chat from the outside looking in. And to me, it also, too, Brendan Gale controlling how it is positioned from a Richmond Footy Club perspective. I mean, the diplomat that he is and the way he expressed himself yesterday and also, too, knowledgeable that the AFL wants him on their books to run football as early as late this season. It's an issue that he's going to have to wade through, as well as finding the new Damien Hardwick if he is to indeed go down that particular path.
And thinking for Andrew McQualter, he's thought the whole coaching gig has just been about trying to tinker with some positional changes, things. All of a sudden, these are part of the elements of being a senior coach, dealing with bigger issues than just some match committee decisions.
And then you get to deal with all of that and then try and attempt to change all focus back to someone who deserves it, that being Trent Cotchin, who's about to play game 300 against St Kilda on Saturday night.
Yeah, what an icon of the Richmond Footy Club he will be, and rightly so. 3-2 two-time premiership captain, 300 games now, a legacy player for that footy club, and deserves all the accolades he gets because he has been, no doubt, a huge reason for this success and this period that they've had.
Yeah, I think the legacy piece, not only on field, and we touched on this a couple of weeks ago, the off-field stuff and what he's been able to do in and around some of their better players. Dusty Martin almost being a best mate / father figure at times to straighten his career up, and the culture that he's been able to drive. And you hear there's talk now in and around Taranto and Hopper when they come in, they're buying into the Richmond culture and what it means to be a Richmond person,
which he's shaped,
he's been at the forefront of for a long period.
Without it being a question without notice, can you call too many players like him who have had to change the way they had set up to play and become a better player for it? As you maybe just quickly think about that, there's an element of Gary Ablett comparison there where the Geelong players sat him down and said, we need you to just do a little bit more defensively. Not totally, but just a little bit more. And Cotchin clearly changed quite dramatically the way he played.
I think it's probably pretty common, isn't it, Daisy? The superstars early in their career are so single-minded and focused on being the best they can be. Then there's the element, once you get to that level, of then adding in the whole,
team.
it's more about the team dynamic. I think it's a pretty common sort of place, but as soon as he did that and Dusty came with him and Jack Rewalt came with him.
It was instant.
They all did it and bang, look what happened, the success they had.
He also looks like the Footy Show guy. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that, but that's Trent Cotchin.
The old logo.
Every time I see it, I think, because he got the flat head, I love it.
I think officially that is Jack Dyer, another Richmond player, another Richmond icon. Yeah.
The Footy Show footies, on a side note, that used to come in the show bag, the white ones with that, they were all time. Just as a side note. So if anyone's got one out there, send it in to Triple M, please. I'll love it.
There you go. Fair dinkum or Fugazi. I think we went from the fair dinkum to the Fugazi in Damo's news segment at the end there. This is Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. We touched on some negatives in the Richmond Footy Club previously in the news. Now I'm going to touch on the positive with you, Joey. Andrew McQualter's Richmond side will ruin some seasons in the run home.
Oh, 100% fair dinkum. Yeah, they are looming as a bit of a threat. So if you look at their last 6 weeks, they've won 4 of their last 6. They'll be sitting top 4 on a ladder since round 8. Their 2 losses were Essendon by a point, Dreamtime, where they were in front for about 80% of it, and then Port Adelaide by 10 points. So we know what Port Adelaide are doing. So, no, they are a bit of a sneaky team to watch on the run home. That's fair dinkum.
They got the Saints twice in that run home. The Lions at the Gabba, the D's, Dogs and Port are the only sides inside the top 8. So if they can roll the Saints twice, they'll be going a long way to making finals, I'd assume.
Damo, the AFL can't continue to delay appointing a head of football.
Yeah, fair dinkum. They need to get this sorted out. I've got a strong view, though, that it is being sorted out behind the scenes. This is just my opinion layered with what I hear. And I've been saying it for some time, that Andrew Dillon does want Brendan Gale. And there's a timeline on that doesn't mean it's going to happen quickly, Rabsy. So it'll need Brendan Gale to sign off on the next Damien Hardwick. That's his quotation around the finding of the next coach of Richmond. And now he's got the Marlion Pickett issue to deal with as well. So I think once the season comes and goes, contractually, the CEO has probably got a similar one to the players, where it's a end of September, end of October time frame. I'm going to be surprised if Brendan Gale doesn't take the offer from the AFL.
Makes sense, doesn't it? That's why they haven't appointed anyone. Why get the second best? You just have to stretch it out and wait to get the number one man.
Like it.
Daisy Thomas. Now, this man is, of course, Stevie J's man, because Stevie J met his dad on Lygon Street. At this stage of the season, Nic Martin is the All-Australian winger, or one of.
Yeah, I could comfortably say that's fair dinkum. On one of the wings, I think on the other side, you're probably looking at a Josh Dacos at the moment, probably some others that I've forgotten about. But look, yeah, the footy that he's playing and consistently week in, week out, performing at a high level, the way he uses the ball, the way he helps Essendon attack but also defend. He's playing the traditional wing role, good wheels, good decision maker, and having an outstanding season. I could comfortably see him on a wing in the All-Australian team if he continues this form.
Staying down the individual players' path, Jeremy Finlayson is the most impactful ruck forward in the game, Joey.
That is close to fair dinkum. I think Luke Jackson fits that bill. There might be another one or two, but certainly on the run home, it looks as if Port Adelaide have settled down. Lycett's their man. Finlayson's going to be that pinch hit ruck forward, and I think they're going to leave Charlie Dixon at home. So I like it. That's their plan to try and win a premiership.
Brilliant. And you just got to tip your hat to the bloke for what he's dealing with off the field as well, in terms of his family sense, to be putting the performances week in, week out on the park. Absolutely fantastic, and well done to him.
Damo, Zak Butters is definitively the Brownlow favourite.
And definitely too, I reckon. Fair dinkum. Yeah, up until maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe Nick Dacos, but I'm all in on Zak Butters, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, fair dinkum.
He's been my man for the best part of 4 years. So
since he ran into Jack Zeeble,
folded Zeeble up, and then just sat underneath him and giggled in his face.
I'm going to stick with you, Joey. Trent Cotchin should be ranked with Voss, Hodge and Selwood as one of the AFL's great captains of the modern era.
Oh, that's a hard one.
Don't shoot Bambi, Joey.
Gee,
Just go Bambi.
Otherwise,
fans will be in Brighton at your house.
That's a high
Do you want me to help you out, Joey?
Voss, Hodge, Selwood.
Do you want me to help you out?
Damo will say it.
Fugazi.
Yes, there it goes.
Probably. He's not. Yeah, that's all. That's all. Those three are all time.
Yeah.
Trent just behind them.
There's cameras. You can't do face.
No, that's a tough one. I don't want to shoot Bambi. Game 300.
You're not. You're just calling it the way you may see it.
Just under them.
I like giving you the ones that make you squirm. Daisy, James Sicily copped the Toby Greene tax at the Tribunal.
Yeah, it's hard not to say fair dinkum on that. He has obviously got the week earlier on in the season for a glancing elbow. All his
Have you ever felt a player should be suspended, though? You do go into bat for players on everything.
Yeah, I probably would have suspended Alistair
Barry
Lynch.
Hall maybe once. Yeah,
Yeah,
when he hit the Staker.
yeah, maybe Staker for chin-butting a fist. But no, look, I do think that, when we talk about Nat Fyfe and some of the front-on contacts he's had in the past that just seem to get waved away. Bontempelli only a week ago, also a decent front-on contact, past the ball, hits the goal.
You reckon?
I'm not going as far as playing favourites, but no doubt. And these players, the way they play, they put themselves in those predicaments more often because that is their nature. But I feel for Sis, I certainly do. I would be spewing if I was missing 3 weeks for that.
Yeah.
Your tinfoil hat on there, Days. Damo, despite the media commentary from the club, if the Blues lose to the Suns on Sunday, it could be curtains for Michael Voss.
No, Fugazi. I feel, Rabsy, the decision is still to be made at the end of the year, but I don't get the feeling right now they're going to make it in season, at least at this stage of in season. It might be a round 18, 19 decision they feel they have to make, but not after round 14. So, Fugazi.
Brian Cook came out and said he would definitely be coaching round 1 next year.
So Luke Sayers said the same thing.
Yeah, so you'd imagine if that's the backing, that would be a fairly big retraction if it was to go the other way.
No hierarchy.
Wouldn't be the first time a couple of officials have said something and done something else. Daisy, even as they speak.
I think Mick Moldhouse actually said at his last talk at Collingwood that he'd never coach against these boys.
Yeah. What happened?
$1.5 million later and
money
6
talks.
months.
Joey, Brisbane should leave their Springfield facilities and set up a training base at the MCG.
No, Fugazi, they will be fine. They've just got to win and play well when they get to the MCG.
But they don't.
Yeah, but you're going back a long way. They've just got to do it in the final.
We go back last week.
Yeah, it was poor. They've got to play well at the MCG. It's not the ground, it's just they don't play well there.
Daisy, Eric Bana missed a trick not going down to Big Freeze slide as Poiter in a tuxedo with a dart.
Yeah, that's fair dinkum. I would have loved to have seen it. The tough part for Eric is he's played so many fantastic and iconic characters that people genuinely love. Chopper as well, Poiter.
Well, didn't we learn on that day that Poiter passed away?
He retired.
Crowd surfing at a Motley Crue concert. So he's finished.
He's brilliant, Eric. And that whole day, well done to everyone involved, everyone who bought bannies, everyone who supported the day. It is a brilliant day on the footy calendar.
Play you a bit of audio here.
Have we got a show for you today on Triple M? From Geelong to Glenelg, from Broadmeadows to Bond Beach, from Cranbourne to Caroline Springs. Welcome one and all. Thanks to McDonald's, Ream Hot Water, and Triple M rocks football. Billy Brownless in the chair. Get stuffed, Jim. And we go around the room here as I look around at the MCG.
Damo, JB may not want to go to Europe mid-season too often because he might lose the Saturday Rub hosting gig to Bill.
Yeah, fair dinkum, and it's good to have Jim back at the same time, though, Rabsy. I believe he's touchdown and he's back in his normal guise as Rush Hour co-host, and thankfully for all of us, Saturday as well.
Sticking with the Brownlesses, this is Blair Brownless at 3:10 p.m. on Sunday.
Down on the boundary, very good friend of Triple M is Blair Brownless. Set the scene for us down there, please, Blair.
Yes, good morning, guys. Conditions magnificent down here at Blunston Arena.
Joey, as soon as the mic goes on, the Brownlesses go to water.
Yeah, that's correct. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon when he said good morning to us. I know they're a bit behind in Tassie, but come on, Blair. He's a Brownless, though.
Sticking with you, Joey, Cam Green's catch was clearly out and the Indian side need to stop whinging about it.
Yes, fair dinkum. Move on. Carrying on like pork chops.
What part was not out about it?
I'm not sure.
The bit where Shubman Gill thought it hit the ground.
It was after he landed on it and threw it up. Okay, yeah, interesting.
He got fined 100% of his match fee and then another 15%. So he paid to play in the World Test Championship final.
Gill.
Shugman
For the
Gill.
comments he made about the catch.
Yeah.
I didn't catch up
And then
with
the
that.
Aussies won 1.6, but they got fined 75% of it for an overrate.
Did they?
Come on.
Dale Thomas. Bernie Vince's game for Maryborough this week is the biggest thing to happen to the town since Matthew Dellavedova won the NBA championship with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
That'll be fair dinkum. Orsage Village Slickers went down there as a $1.60 favourite and got rolled when I was in part ownership at the Maryborough Trots. That was also a big day, but I think that might have come before the Dellavedova win. Yeah, this is fair dinkum. Bernie Vince, the Carlton draft, he wants to put on a show too because he obviously does the work in at Fox and they will be reaming him, as we will be too if he puts out a shocker like someone else has already this season. Jordan Lewis was pretty good. I think Josh Kennedy was good. Another name eludes me, but...
You can say it. You can say those two words.
I'm trying to think of
Kane
him.
Corns.
Oh, did he played, yeah, but did his side win? I think they did. But anyway, this isn't about him. That is about, of course, Bernie. So I look forward to seeing what Bernie can do and almost hope he has a shocker. We can say that in very Triple M style. I hope he doesn't get injured, but I hope he has a shocker.
Well, we can guarantee the cashy after the game is going to be awesome.
That'll be worthwhile. Hang around for that.
Finally, Joey and Damo. The midweek rub needs to ask itself if it's fair dinkum or Fugazi, with 50% of the team nicking off to Europe this week.
That's fair dinkum. How committed are some of the people in our team? We are trying to build something special here and someone's jumping ship mid-year, but that's all right, Damo. Have we got
What's
a
the
replacement?
50%?
Rabs is out of here.
You're
too.
going as
going
well.
too.
I haven't caught up with the fact you're going.
Yeah.
Someone's got to
So
carry
who's
on.
got
I knew this one was
sorted
going.
or what?
You.
Who are we going to get to fill
I'll
in?
text you the poem.
All right, thanks. Damo, looks like we're carrying the ship for a couple of weeks.
I'll happily zoom in. I'm not sure you'll want me. I think it's 4 a.m. London time when you do this.
No, we
Getting
might
up or going to
pass
bed?
on that.
Probably going to bed or planning to at some stage in the next 3 hours.
Round 14 predictions to round out this week's midweek rub. Joey, Daisy and Damo. Round 14 kicks off tomorrow night with a huge clash between Port Adelaide and Geelong. You can hear it on Triple M and the Listener app. But before that, let's have a listen to your round 13 predictions. You all went hot on one team.
Freo, my certainties. They are
Yes.
flying. They will win.
Is that your certainty too? All
That is
three?
my certainty as
What?
well.
3 banger.
Fremantle to beat Richmond.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
We've done this
no.
once before this
Yeah.
year and we got
And we
up
got
in
it.
Should have known.
Should have stopped. at
Come
one.
on, Freo.
And just another little one. I tried to lead you down the garden path, but you just wouldn't listen to me. Hawthorn versus Brisbane.
Yeah.
Not their happy hunting ground, the Lions,
Nah.
at the MCG.
Brisbane will win that. They're not going to lose that.
Agree.
Yep.
My agreements was to Rabzo, not you. Sorry, I was agreeing with your term, yeah.
Yes. Well, that's right. We thought Brisbane should have
Geez,
won
they were
that.
both poor.
Really poor.
Freo poor,
Yeah.
Brisbane poor. Very poor.
Carlton poor.
Probably worse than poor.
You liken tipping Carlton to you going to the roulette wheel, seeing it come up red 8 times and tipping black.
That's why I've lost a lot of money at the casino, and I'm with Daisy. I'm not tipping Carlton for the rest of this year now.
I said ever, so I'm going the rest of my life.
I'll just do it for the rest of this
Okay.
year, not ever.
I said that last week too, but guess what? I'm tipping them this week against Gold Coast. I'll get it rolling. Carlton to beat the Gold Coast.
So Port Adelaide, Geelong, that's a big one. Looks like the Cats.
He's just completely ignored you.
Damo goes,
Damo.
Damo.
I'll get it rolling. Carlton against Gold Coast.
I was just trying to get it
Oh,
rolling.
you were going in Australia
I'm
that
tipping
game.
Carlton to go Gold Coast.
Sorry.
Not only is he not tipping, he's completely ignoring
sorry,
And he
it.
Damo.
turned his back on me.
Well, I'm going Gold Coast. I was trying to get him to the tips. I didn't realise you were. Apologies. I'm going Gold Coast, Daisy, with you.
Yeah, Gold Coast.
That's
I'm
my outsider.
man of my word, Gold Coast.
All right, Lee, now you can
Sorry,
go to
Damo.
Port Adelaide versus Geelong tomorrow night, Adelaide Oval. Huge clash.
I know
Cats
Damo's
will
in a
get
rush,
few
so I was
back.
trying to whip through it.
no,
Yes,
no.
it looks like Duncan, Dangerfield, and Holmes will all be back for the Cats.
Yes.
But I'm still going to tip Port Adelaide. You can't jump off them yet. They are flying. So
Yep.
Port
Oh.
Adelaide.
Same. I've been on this roll since it started, as in I feel I'm part of it. So until they show me that they're not on the roll, I'm still in on them.
Still
Port Adelaide.
holding on signing Ken Hinkley? Still happy to wait?
Hold until August. That's the prescribed time. Wait till then.
I'm the opposite of you, Joey, at the roulette wheel. I follow the trend. I keep backing and backing and backing, and then once you dump out, so Port it is.
Brisbane versus Sydney. That is a huge clash on Friday night.
No, Brisbane win. They get the job done.
I agree, and as succinctly.
Yeah, they have to get back on the winners list after last week. So yeah, Lions for me too.
The Giants versus Fremantle on Saturday.
I'm doubling down on my certainty. Fremantle will bounce back and win this. I think they missed Jager O'Meara significantly in that game. They
Good
weren't
point.
tough enough around the footy. He's back. I think Fremantle will bounce back and beat the Giants.
Same.
Also,
St Kilda ruined Buddy's 350th last week. Can they ruin Trent Cotchin's 300th this week against the Tigers?
Oh, I hope so, but I'm nervous. I like the way Richmond are playing. I'm going to tip Richmond. But if they lose, I'm happy.
Tigers with no great confidence, but Tigers.
Tigers as well. I don't know. I'm just off St Kilda, but they keep winning.
Yeah.
You going that bad, you've had an each-way bet on this game.
Yeah, I'm happy all the way. I tip Richmond. If they win, I'm happy. If they lose, I'm happy.
Come on the draw.
We've already spoken about Carlton versus Gold Coast, and you turn your back on Damo. So North Melbourne versus Western Bulldogs to round out round 14. A very short round 14. I don't like 6 teams having to bye.
That's right. Dogs should get back on the winners list, but I like the way the Kangaroos are playing. I'm enjoying watching the Kangas, but I think the Dogs should win.
Just can't get the job done, the Kangas, when it comes to winning. So the Bulldogs, after 3 losses, should themselves get back onto the winners list.
11 straight losses for North, average losing margin 18 points. So they've been honourable losses. That's not good enough, but it's an improvement. But I think the Western Bulldogs will be winning.
Quickly, before we finish, recap your certainties and a surprise, please.
Fremantle to beat the Giants is my certainty, and the Gold Coast Suns to beat Carlton is my surprise.
Fremantle's my certainty as well. And yeah, if Carlton upset the Gold Coast Suns, who I'm tipping, that would be my surprise. There's an each-way bet if you've ever had one.
Well, I may as well go with Carlton as my certainty, just to ramp it right up here, having sworn off them for 6 weeks in a row. And that will do me, I think, in my offerings.
Well, I'll see you in 3 weeks' time, and Carlton still haven't won a game for you, Damo.
Yeah.
Catch every game across round 14 on Triple M, starting with tomorrow night's clash between Port Adelaide and Geelong, live from Adelaide Oval, 7 p.m. with Luke Darcy, Brian Taylor, Mark Rashuto, Dom Cassisi, and Rhett Biglands. This has been Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub.